Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Davison. You're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and yes, I am hard to kill. And before I introduce my guests, I do want to remind everyone that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocketjack Comics, who have books like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily. You can find their books at pocketjackcomics.com. Please go support my friend Preston, who is helping making this show happen a little bit, and he's got some awesome comics. But enough about that, because I have with me Michael and Guy from Cybersheep Studios. So welcome to the show.
Hi, hello. Well, that was a nice opening.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm very excited to have you both on, and there's a lot going on, and you have two major books that are out there, which is Ronin of Okane and Myths and Tales of Yokai and Cyber Beings in Hinokai, and hopefully I got the name right. But before we get into those two books, I kind of want to give you both an ability to introduce who you are and a little quick intro on both of you guys, because obviously you've had, I think, 200,000 give or take raised in Kickstarter in a lot of ways and some other stuff, and you have some pretty cool projects that you've done that we're going to get into.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Michael. I'm the director, writer, and I'm the director and writer of Cybersheep Studio and Ronin of Okane. So we have been working on this studio for like 4 or 5 years now. We've been doing comic books. So we've been doing like 5 books now. The first 4 book is Ronin of Okane, and the 5th one is the Myth and Tale. And yeah, so the reason I'm doing this is because I like the cyberpunk and Japanese folklore, and we wanted to tell stories the way that we wanted to tell, exactly the way we want. So that's why we don't do with studios, other big studios. So we found a studio ourselves. And okay, your turn, Guy.
Okay, my name is Guy, and is and comic artist in Ronin Okane, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is recent our comic is update and work in Ronin Okane is about cyberpunk and manga and Japanese folklore, Japanese style, and so Michael ก็ Michael give me freedom to create about character about samurai, and so also cyberpunk character. So it's about so many very fun.
Cool. So obviously, I mean, we're going to get into the books in a second here, but I kind of want to talk about what I think is a little bit of the pre-position of this whole studio. And it's something that I think, Michael, you worked on, which was, Gachi Bells, the animated series. And I think that was kind of like the predated stuff to this entire studio, or it might have been the first project that the studio did in many ways. I'm not exactly sure, but obviously it's an animated series. So I want to talk a little bit about that too, because that's also super fascinating. Before we get into the books, I briefly want to talk about that. So what was that like to do that? Because that's a whole different ball game to do like a 15-minute anime film. And I don't think people realize what type of work goes into that.
It was fun, but it's also really, really stressful. Because so you know Dreams on PS4, right? Have you heard of it? There's a video game called Dream on PS4.
I the name sounds familiar, but I don't know it exactly. But I know stuff exists, and I mean I've heard the name in passing. But continue.
Yeah, so basically it's a video game where you can create anything you want, whether it would be video, create another game, create like an art or animation. So back then I didn't have enough budget to actually hire professional people, or like having Blender or having like a high-end PC. So, and I've always been wanting to tell stories, like fantasy stories and fun stuff, and like from imagination and world building. So I'm using this engine called Dream on PS4, and we create a film together. And during the process, I was recruiting people one by one. I think I usually do that because it's easier to convince people to join when there's something solid. You write a script, and then you show like a short animation, and you bring in people who can do like a character, then someone can do music, and slowly we start from like me alone and another music guy until they have like 30 people working on one animation. And that was not easy, but it was really fun.
So I want to get into this a little bit because I mean, obviously, it's a story about a samurai in a strange dystopian future figuring out what kind of is going on here.
Okay.
He has a bell that he sort of is a weapon, but it's not a weapon, and his father gave it to him. And obviously, I don't want to ruin the whole 15 minutes or so of this that's out there. But obviously, there's robot creatures, there's Japanese folklore in there. But that's kind of the basic premise of the story. But you mentioned something that I think is interesting, where it's like you kind of built a team piece by piece by piece, and then you brought the Kickstarter and you did, I think, like £30,000 on Kickstarter, which is a lot of money. I don't think people realize that a lot of campaigns don't do 30,000. And so what was this like? Because you said you didn't have a budget, but $30,000 later, I mean, that's a lot of money for start on an indie level.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it was also not easy to do Kickstarter because back then we have no idea how to do Kickstarter too. We don't even know how to do the landing page and the video, nothing. Like, it was really hard. We don't even know how to promote it. And back then we promoted every day. Like we post every day until some of our fans gets a bit annoyed. Like, it's every day. That was our first Kickstarter ever, and we learned a lot of things from that particular Kickstarter. So that's why it's getting better with each new Kickstarter. Like with the books, something like that.
So I want to talk about this, and I'm curious how you both feel about this. Is that obviously it is a feat to do a 15 animation film of any type, and then to even do even more than that, to build something, to create something from start to finish out of scratch. Because drawing a comic and doing a page is a hell of a lot faster than doing 30 seconds of animation. And I don't really care who says it's the other way around, because it's not. And I'll debate anybody on that topic. But what is that like? Because you accomplished something that is really difficult to do. You raised a lot of money on it, and I'm curious how you both feel about it, because this is the thing that I think put you guys on the map for starters, because everything else is easier following this.
That's true. I learned a lot from animation and working with a team of 30 people, and I learned to work with different kind of people too, because like 30 people, obviously they have different personality and like different background, different skill. So I always like storytelling, right? So that's why it doesn't matter about the medium. And I feel like for comic books, it's a kind of medium that you can play with other different stuff that you cannot do with animation. So it's different, but I gotta admit it's a lot easier with comic books, like a lot easier. You don't have to set the light and everything. Like, if you set the light from this direction, and you have the shadow over here that you don't like, you have to delete it with another light and stuff like that. But with comic book, it's just easy. You just say don't add the shadow on the floor, and that's it. It's freaking easy. So yeah, comic book is much easier, and you get to tell like R-rated stuff that not censoring yourself. There's a lot of things like world building, voiceover that you can do with comic books that doesn't feel off, doesn't feel like you explain too much. Like, there's a lot more to play.
So we're gonna get into that, and then obviously I think we should just dive into the comic stuff here. And obviously I do want to talk about your first book, which is Ronin of Cocaine. And so what's the basic premise of the book for those who know it? Some people don't, some people do. Obviously, you have 4 volumes of it. It's I think over 200 pages. And so, what's the basic premise? Because it's a fun book in a lot of ways. It's a fun book, and you can read it on a lot of levels. I've read the first one, and you can read it on a lot of levels.
Okay, thank you, man. So it's about a young samurai who traveled and come to be in a cyberpunk city where he has to survive and take revenge on something that happened to him in the past. And we're trying to play with cyberpunk genre and also Japanese folklore. So there's gonna be like a weapons that is fun to see and to create, but also it's gonna be like there's gonna have something like monster and creatures from Japanese folklore too, with like supernatural ability, and some of them are like selling foods and weapons in the city.
Yeah, so let's get into this a little bit because we have 2 main characters.
Uh-huh.
And we have Nyx, who is kind of the girl who is rough around the edges and knows the city well. And then we got Noguchi, who is a samurai who comes sort of penniless to this entire thing, and he's kind of rising up in the ranks as part of a guild, assassinations, kind of getting unwanted attention. And what is that like? Because these are really, I mean, I call these 2 individuals kind of children to some degree because they're young adults, but they're also somewhat intact. I feel in the first book with innocence to some degree, and I'm presuming that innocence is gonna dwindle away. I mean, I don't know here, but what is that like? Because even the development of them, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on internally, situationally, and then you got a bunch of other stuff going on. So what was it like really developing them? Because after the first book that these characters by book 4 are not going to be the same.
Mm-hmm. So we love the character that we made, Noguchi and Nyx, right? And they are completely different kind of characters, and we also have like we're trying to have fun with them, but also not breaking the rules of who they are. For example, with Nyx, she's supposed to be like a hologram girl with a hologram ability, but we also play around with what she can possibly do, like motorcycle in like later on, or a pet cat, or like a extra weapon and stuff like that. But we also trying to not take her to like a too extreme cyborg kind of character. And with Noguchi, he's more like a traditional samurai character with a dark past. And we play around with that. And I gotta say, the character design, I gotta give credit to Guy for creating something that our audience really like, especially Nyx. Like I thought she was really a good character design, but the fans really like her. Hey, Guy, can you talk more about the character that you designed, like Noguchi and Nyx?
Noguchi. First, I had a dream to design or draw character male protagonist with a red jacket like Kaneda in Akira, like main character in cyberpunk genre, right? So and this time it male character wear red jacket and he has a samurai. He is samurai. It's a male fantasy, male fantasy. And we talk about Nyx. This character, like she's human arsenal. Like she used the pistol. She used or firearm and but I never think she's a girl boss character. Character. She's
so
just
let me ask you this. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm curious because obviously you created characters
Uh-huh.
that are likable and that your audience likes. And what is that like for you? Because not every comic artist gets to create characters that people are like, oh my God, I love Nyx. I want to see more of this character. I love the idea of this. Because you got this kind of pink hologram cyberpunk girl who's a badass and it clearly resonates with your audience in this whole cyberpunk genre. And so what is that like for you as an artist? Because not to say that the writer doesn't feel good, but as the artist, you visually brought the character to life. And if you're the lead artist, I mean, you pretty much pumped life into that. And so what does that make you feel? Because you took the description and the writing and you brought the character into this world. And what is that like for you, I guess? Because that's like, I don't know how to ask that question any other way. I mean, because it must be so cool because I can't draw.
โอเค Michael help me บอกเขาว่าแบบประมาณว่าแบบที่เขาถามอ่ะมันจะประมาณว่าแบบถ้าคำตอบก็คือไม่รู้ดิผมคิดว่าพอภาพในหัวผมเป็นอย่างนั้นอ่ะผมก็เลยแบบวาดอย่างนั้นไปอย่างเงี้ยฮะ
So he had the picture in his head of what Nyx gonna look like, so he draw it that way.
This is Nyx. This is like the most right. This is Nyx,
Yeah,
right?
this is Nyx.
I mean, I want to make sure everybody understands. I didn't just pick the most provocative picture. Yeah, I mean, maybe I did a little bit here, but obviously, there's elements of this why this is great, right? And it's this whole like cyberpunk, like anime. I don't know what else, but like that's what's fascinating. That's like I'm just so curious, like why this is like what this is like, because you guys hit it out of the park.
It's like พี่กายรู้สึกยังไงที่เหมือนกับ Nyx มันดัง
ไม่น่าเชื่อนะ That's crazy ฮะก็แล้วก็ดีใจด้วยที่ทุกคนชอบเยอะอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับ
He's very happy that everyone like it, and he was blown away.
It's just like such a cool character, and like the reason why I bring this up is that it's really cool in that regard. Of that.
Thank you, man.
And then I mean to go even further though, because I do want to dive into some other stuff with this as well, is that what is it like, because the thing is that you do combine Japanese folklore with cyberpunk, and when you start going into Japanese folklore, it can be complicated because you don't want to get it wrong, if that makes any sense, because you don't want to misinterpret a folklore. You don't want to be confusing. And so what was that like for you? Because you want to be respectful to a culture, but you're also interpreting it. And so what was that like building this project together and really building this out? Because there's a lot of that in there. And same thing with the Samurai Bushido stuff too, and even balancing that. Because that's the other thing that I think this book, at least in the first volume that I read, I felt did pretty good with that. Where I don't feel like it was overpowering, and I don't feel that it was being disrespectful, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think a lot of people in the team, we are a lot of cyberpunk and Japanese folklore nerds. So whatever I pitch to them, like, hey, I want to do this and that, some of them would argue back, like it doesn't make any sense, or they read books. Like one of the guy, they have like a thick book of Japanese folklore with all the list of characters and stuff, and it was insane. And he would give me ideas of, hey, what if this character is doing this and that, because in the tales the character was doing this and that. And we also have a Japanese consultant to make sure we represent Japanese accurately, especially in terms of language. We don't want to mess up the language, but also the culture as well. But when it comes to being creative, we don't want to stick to accurate to the myth, because we want to play around with it and explore more, and give the character some personality and stuff like that. And with some character, we don't use all of the abilities. Like you're not gonna see the ball sack of the tanuki like right away just because he can do that. It has to fit the story. Damn it. All right, sorry, man.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This is perfect. This is awesome. So I mean, to go even further off of that, and obviously, I mean, guy, you could jump in at any point. I mean, what is that also like though? Because from an artist, I mean, if you get to play in cyberpunk, you get to play in Japanese folklore, and then you also get to play in comics and that manga style. I mean, as an artist, it's almost like you have carte blanche where you can almost do any style you want, and you have that whole mashup. Because when you combine cyberpunk with, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe cyberpunk has a certain art style, and I believe that when you're drawing Japanese folklore, to some degree, it has also a certain art style. And then as an artist, I mean, if you get to do both, you have pretty much anything can be done, right? So I'm curious even how that is, because that's what makes the book interesting too, is it's that weird combination of like different things on. It's like surf and turf. That's exactly what it is. It's surf and turf. It's great. Do I need to explain surf and turf? Just
พี่กาย
So surf and turf is when you take like two elements from two different cuisines and combine them together.
Oh, okay. Surf and turf.
Yeah. It's
Is that
awesome.
American thing? American
So-
word?
so-
No.
It's like it's almost like if you take like fish and you combined it with like Mexican food.
Oh, okay.
It like that's surf and turf. So it's great, and that's what's so cool is that because that Japanese folklore with cyberpunk is that like meshing of two different things that allows for a unique writing style, but also a unique art style.
อ๋อพี่กายเขาถามว่าพี่กายรู้สึกยังไงที่เหมือนกับเอาไซเบอร์พังผสมกับญี่ปุ่นอย่างเงี้ยตอนวาดอะพูดภาษาอังกฤษก็ได้
It's so fun, and I think about I have to do a lot of homework about manga style and comic style. Comic style is talk about light and shadow, so contrast and so powerful. Some scene of action is so many have to draw like American comic style, but some talk about Nyx. Nyx is Nyx have more manga style about hair, about her face, about her body. I think manga style is express about Nyx better than comic. Like Noguchi, some scene I have to draw him about a manga, but some scene I draw Noguchi comic style like serious face or action scene, something like that.
I want to chime in real quick. So something that's interesting about our book that I didn't realize until I get to show it to more people is that when I show it to people from America or that side of the European people, they tend to think it's feel like a manga book, but when I show to Asian people, they think it's more American style. I think Guy like walk in the middle of those lines, where it feels both American and manga at the same time. I don't know how he did that, and I didn't notice that until I showed it to more people, and it's always the same. Like, Asian people would think it looks American, and European people would think it looks manga.
Let me ask a question in which I'm curious now, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine because the question just popped into my head. So obviously Kickstarter is a global platform, and so I'm curious where your sales are exactly. And you don't have to get it to the T, but are you like selling in like half Europe, half America, because you bring something up where a bunch of Americans like we think this is more manga, and Europeans think it's more American comics. So I'm really curious about that because I mean, and I might say something where I speak to a lot of people in America, and we think that, oh, I'm selling. You don't really hear an international perspective, and I don't know if it's ignorance or just it's just people just typically buy American comic books in America, and they don't want to pay the international shipping across the because it's really expensive to ship things to Australia. It really is. I would know. So, but like, I'm just curious off of that because I'm curious if it's like a mixed bag or if it's like 2080 because I think it's interesting that you brought that point up.
Most of my customers in US, and they're really nice. You know, they're real supportive of my book, and they know we are from Thailand.
It's okay. You don't have to tell us in America we're nice because you're on my show. You don't have to say that. I mean, if you believe
No,
it,
but they really do. They are incredibly supportive with my books. Like it was insane. Like they would buy anything that we made, and we put all of our heart in each product. I'm serious though. I'm serious. A lot of my customers were there. Why? It's true. It's true. I swear.
All jokes aside, no, the reason why I asked that is that I find it so interesting that there's that divide on how the book is viewed, and I didn't even think about it until you brought it up. But that's really interesting on an artistic level that you're walking the line between both of that, and you kind of get an interesting interpretation and how it allows for a reader to interpret the style versus when I read Naruto, I know it's a manga. When I read Batman, I know it's a comic. But I mean, when I read this book, I'm like, okay, it's kind of a cyberpunk, and I viewed it and I read it as a comic book. I didn't read it as a manga. But now I'm gonna have to kind of go back. So I'm like, it's a cyberpunk-esque comic book. I mean, I played Cyberpunk 2077, right? It's kind of that vein, just pink and neon greens and neon blues versus darker. But I digress. I thought that was fascinating. Just on my personal level. But obviously, I mean, the other thing I want to bring up is that you don't shy away from making it an R-rated book either. And I think you've made it crystal clear saying this is an adult graphic novel. This is an adult book. And I'm curious on, first off, why you made it crystal clear, and B, do you feel that you can get away with more because you're upfront saying there's going to be adult things in here, it's going to be blood, there might be some nudity, there's violence, and we're dealing with complicated issues to some degree.
Yeah, it's not just about the R-rated stuff, but it's also the way we tell story too. Because if you read the first book, right, there's gonna be a lot of voiceover, a lot of I don't know, the pacing of the story is not the kind that pull you in easily. It's more like a slow burn kind of thing, and we're a big fan of Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner, and they play with a theme that only cyberpunk can do, but it's very dark. So that's the reason why we do R-rated too. Because those genres, cyberpunk genre, and also Japanese folklore, it's not a soft story. It's not light, and it wouldn't be fair if we do it softer. Like it's not gonna do justice to those genre. We want to play with those.
I'm a fan of Ghost in the Shell. I love Oshii. I love Oshii as a director. Brilliant director. And then I forgot who did Ghost in the Shell, the graphic novel. Brilliant also in so many ways. But Oshii directed the first Ghost in the Shell movie. Oh my god, just sick director, just brilliant.
I really like the interview scene, the interrogation scene, that one with the picture of his girlfriend and whatever. Remember that one?
The what? What'd you say?
There's a scene in the first Ghost in the Shell movie where they interview a guy and they slide a picture of him, and he saw like a girlfriend picture on
yeah, I know that scene. I know that scene.
I really like that one.
Oshi is a brilliant director. So for people who don't know about Oshi, because I'm a big Japanese anime guy, I go old school anime, right? I go back to Tezuka and all that stuff. What people don't know about Oshi is that Oshi sleeps with a Bible on his nightstand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I actually have a King James Arthur Bible, King James Bible on my nightstand.
Okay.
And I'm not Christian by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's fascinating because a lot of biblical themes are in there. A lot of biblical themes are in
yeah.
cyberpunk, and like it's brilliant. It's just absolutely. And when you start understanding, saying, how did this get directed? Oh, it's great. It's absolutely
I
great.
see.
But I know the scene you're talking about. I love it. Have you seen Skycrawlers with Oshi?
Which one?
Skycrawlers.
Not yet. Is it good?
Oh, I'm not gonna ruin it for you. It's great. It's
Guy
just
Pro. Have you watched it, Guy?
Sky Chorus.
yeah, Skycrawlers.
Never heard it. Sorry. Sky Chorus. Let me search.
It's very interesting, Skycrawlers, and think Top Gun with reincarnation. It's Skycrawlers. Like
I like Top Gun, so it's good.
it's great. It's great. It's beautiful animation, and
Guy Pro.
it's
Okay.
Oshi at his best.
Oh, really? Even better than Ghost in the Shell? I'll give it a shot.
Oh, by far. It's not exactly cyberpunk, but it's dark. It's dark.
Okay. Sure.
It's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, that's Skycrawlers.
Oh, I haven't seen that one before.
But this is not your book.
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks for the recommendation, though.
Oh, you'll thank me. You'll both thank me. Trust me.
All right.
Anybody else who's seen this, if you haven't seen Skycrawlers, we should all watch it, and we should all talk about it. But I digress. I do want to talk about it, even going further with this, because I think with these 4 volumes, and there's 4 volumes, and I think the story wraps up in 4, right?
No, actually, we're gonna do 8. We
God
just finished 5. We're gonna do it. We plan everything for 8. So
you just want to make sure a guy can pay his rent. That's what this is about, right?
I know, man. I know it's not a cheap book. I'm aware of that. But come on, it's a hardcover book. It's a nice one. So some people like it on the shelf, like they really like the collector edition that we made. So we'll get to 8 and we'll stop. I promise. It's not gonna be like 8.1 and 8.2 or whatever. It's gonna be 8 for sure.
Okay, I stand corrected. Again, I only read the first one. I'll be honest. I read the first one, and as soon as I get more money, I'm probably gonna buy all of them in physical copies.
Thank you, man.
But right now, in my current circumstance, I'm balancing out my financials.
Sure, it's fine. Don't worry.
The world's a complicated place right now, to say the least.
I agree.
But what I think you did. I mean, you've done over 100,000 on these 4 books on Kickstarter, and I think, if my math is correct. And so, what is that like? Because I think on the first one you did a little over 30, and I think the others have been around those numbers too. If not, they've been more. And I think
more.
that also says something that's interesting, is that obviously you figured out how to market it. People want the book, people want the product, and obviously you're growing an audience. And so what is that like? Because for the both of you, because it shows that, hey, people want this content.
I think it's an amazing feeling to get to do this full time, and to help the artists in the team, to give them jobs that they actually like, because everyone in the team, they like their own position. Like Guy, he's really good with characters, and there are also teammates who really like background. The guy just don't do characters at all. He just do background. That line, straight line in the background. Like, he really enjoyed those for some reason. Like, he's weird. I don't know why. Right? It was strange. And the guy, there's a guy who like color. There's a person who like adding bubbles and stuff like that layout. So it was really nice to be successful in this thing. But during the first few years, it wasn't easy at all because there's a lot of things to deal with, whether it be finding the artist and making a studio, like founding it in Thailand and in US because there's a money transfer issue. And there's a lot of things like figuring out how to market it. So it was amazing. It was really good right now because everything is working really well. The system is like solid right now. It was a great feeling.
No, that again, I'm just curious because I find it interesting, right? Because when you do this and you build stuff and then you have 30,000, because very few campaigns, I don't know if you know the statistics, but very few campaigns do over 10. Very few do over 20, and then even fewer do over 50,000, and then 100,000. And I know people who have done 20, 25 campaigns and they've raised like 110,000. But you guys, I think, have done 6 or 7, and I think you raised over 200, 250,000 if my math isn't wrong here. And I think it's pretty impressive in a lot of ways when you're doing that much money and you're raising that much money and you have interest, because the only thing that tells me you have interest is sales. That's it. I don't really care saying, "Oh, your book looks awesome," right? That's a nice compliment, right? But what matters on this show is viewership, right? How many people view an interview? Because that means in how long did they view it, or how many people bought something, or how many people backed your campaign. Because that tells, hey, we like the story and we like the art and we want more of this. And I think, when you're doing 30,000, 32,000, 38,000, your backer counts up, and I think it is growing, it's okay. People want this shit. And that's what I think is interesting. So that's why I say what I say.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree because there's a matter of having a lot of followers, and there's a matter of actually selling the book. And sometimes people who follow is not always the customer, so it's very complicated to do business, this kind of business. And sometimes the art that you do that you feel like, hey, this is gonna sell really well, this is gonna be the one that get a lot of get a lot of sales, and sometimes it's not like that. It's really hard to understand what people like about a book, because even though sex sell, right, even though sexiness sell, it's not always the case that you can draw something sexy and people would buy it. There's a specific kind of thing, like the storytelling in that pages, and the kind of emotion that you convey in those pages, that you feel like, hey, this page is gonna.
You're touching upon something that's interesting, right?
Yeah, that the feeling of it, not just the boobs and ass.
So look, I'm an anime guy. Everybody is into stuff, so I like sexy characters, and there's a time and place for that, and you need an element of sexiness in everything to some degree. But there gets a point where, great, I like a character and her boobs, but what's the story, right? So you could get me in through that, and okay, cool, we got a sexy character, but is there nothing beyond the sexiness of her? Like, at some point, I need substance, right? And this is what I think the whole problem right now with comics is in many ways, is that there's a lot of books that have sexy covers, really cool art, beautifully drawn covers, and then there's nothing in the book. And Ben Dunn from Antarctic Press said he's surprised that somebody hasn't created a book, had a bunch of sexy covers on it, and then there's nothing in the book, and they get every single one of the books graded and CGC'd. And he said, I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet. And so, like, that's why I think your book works, because I think there's something to this book beyond the fact that Nyx is sexy. I mean, this is sexy. I mean, let's call it what it is. No, I have a question for Guy. Did you draw this?
Yes.
Because I would love the original of that. No,
Oh no.
That in black
Shameless,
and
dude.
white, that in black and white as a print would look sick. I'm just saying. But this can get me into your book. Say, what the hell is this book? Now I'm interested because I'm curious what happens next. But you need substance is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
อะไรนะไม่ขึ้น
อ๋อเขาชมว่าภาพสวยเหมือนกับทำให้อยากซื้อ
thank you ครับ แล้วก็เมื่อกี้จะขยายความว่าแบบมันมีความแตกต่างระหว่างพูดถึงเรื่องเรท R นั่นเองมันมีความแตกต่างระหว่างอีโรติกกับพร
I understood that and I don't speak this language. I understood that.
Because that the artist way we walk about erotic scene but แล้วก็เดี๋ยวนะ
I'm not trying to torture you. I'm really not. Like
it's so different about that or this นะฮะมันเหมือนกับว่าคือเขาเรียกว่าอะไรวะคือความจริงความสวยงามอย่างเรื่องอีโรติกเนี่ยมันก็ซ่อนเรื่องความอันตรายไว้ได้อะไรประมาณนี้ครับผม
He says sometimes erotic stuff can hide can have some hidden danger in it too. You know, we don't want to go to the territory of porn.
I agree. In which that I'll be honest with you, and I have no problem. I've said this before, and it could be offensive. I'm sure you've seen those full frontal books on covers where the girl is completely naked and everything is exposed.
I've seen.
And I buy and sell comics. I don't have a problem with topless, right? Topless covers don't bother me. Full nude, there's something off-putting about it where I'm like, this is just weird. And like and you're mentioning the point of where you don't want to go for porn. To me, if you're putting a fully exposed girl on a comic cover that you drew, it's weird. It's arguably porn to some degree, and because there is a fine line between art and porn. And I interview porn stars. There is a fine line between art and porn. And when you start going into just putting a girl and her private parts fully exposed on the cover, and you're selling it because it's that, you're kind of selling porn. I mean, if we're going to really call it what it is, and I get that there's money there, and I don't think it should be illegal, but at the same time, I mean, we got to call it what it is. And I don't want to read porn. I want to read a story that could have nudity in it that's adult, but also has a story, like because that's why I'm buying comics. If I want to buy porn, I will legitimately go on Pornhub and watch it for free.
I agree.
Like I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't true. I'm just saying.
No, I agree because during the first book that we made, you know, Guy told me right away that he's not gonna make Nick naked ever. So just in case anyone who want to read the book, so Nick is never gonna be naked until the end of the 8th book. She's not gonna strip down or whatever. That's the rule he made for me. I'm like, okay, fine.
I can't help it. I was so excited to see some.
Dude, the picture that you show of Nick's brushing her teeth, I got a lot of backlash for how the way she stands. Like a lot of people say no one stands like that, and I'm like, yeah, but it looks hot though.
I'm gonna make my girlfriend stand like that now.
But look, you gotta understand that if you do something like this, like almost porn, some people might interpret it as porn, and I tend to notice that the picture that get a lot of criticism tend to bring in a lot of sales too. Like if I post something on Reddit and it's gonna be like a lot of backlash, that night I get a lot of book sales.
There's a good book. I'm a huge wrestling fan. And I don't know if you're into wrestling or not. There's a book by a guy named Eric Bischoff.
Okay.
Eric Bischoff wrote the book Controversy Creates Cash.
True. That's true.
Very, very book is an okay book. Title is brilliant. Sold a lot. Talking about wrestling, talking about his journey into wrestling, what he did, a lot of controversy stuff. Pretty intelligent book, parts of it. So I agree with that. Where you put something out controversial, you're
That's
going to
true.
generate sales and interest. Whether it's good or bad doesn't matter. Every time I do an interview that is controversial, it does well, it gets views, and people get upset. And I'm like, great, okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't intentionally trying to offend anyone with my arts, right? But it tends to be like that. Like if it's polarizing, it tend to attract both people, like people who really hate it and people who really like it.
It's interesting, right? I think art is meant to be, challenging norms. I have no problem saying this. I enjoy Robert Mapplethorpe. And Robert Mapplethorpe is a very controversial artist.
What did he do?
Very, very controversial. But he sparks discussions. And in his exhibits, when they put his artwork up, when he was still alive and even after, they put a warning sign before you go in. So he's a very prominent, very controversial American artist. So I like this. I think this is a good scene, right? I think it sparks. I mean, I didn't get offended by it. I didn't think anything was wrong with it. It's just a girl brushing her teeth who happens to be sexy. I mean, I don't really see the problem. I don't. If the problem is that no woman looks like that, I mean, I legitimately could pull something up like this. No woman looks like that either. So I could go further. I could go further here. No woman looks like this either, guys.
That's a nice one.
I like that. That's Shikari. So I like that cover a lot.
Okay.
But that's my point, though, right? Is that if this sparks controversy, that's the least of what I just showed.
Yes, it's a very least. Like we're not trying to do porn, but we still get some criticism about like being too much because this is cyberpunk genre. They're supposed to have those like. Imagine if I do cyberpunk and there's no nudity, there's no like violence and nothing. That wouldn't be cyberpunk. It wouldn't be good.
I mean, you know that Twitch changed their rules because of Cyberpunk 2077, right?
Really? What happened? Oh, really?
What happened is that in Cyberpunk 2077, you could have characters who can run around nude. So your male character at a certain point can run around without pants, and women in the game can run around topless. Now, you can do a lot of cool stuff. My character in Cyberpunk 2077, I want to make this crystal clear, was never going bottomless, and because I played as a male, but his eyes tripped. I made his eyes like checkered pattern red. Oh, it was awesome. It's like my favorite thing in Cyberpunk. It's tripping, right? But Twitch realized that people can do that. So with Cyberpunk 2077, nudity on Twitch in that game is somewhat allowed. Because you just said that nudity in Cyberpunk is a heavy component, and it is a theme throughout Cyberpunk that you might have nudity in there. So I mean, I don't get it. I don't really think in your book it should be an offensive component.
That's true. Thanks, man.
In fact, if it wasn't in there, it'd be more offensive.
I agree. I agree. That's a nice way to put it.
So obviously that's that, and then obviously, I mean, it's just some other stuff, and obviously, I mean, we got art here, which is really cool. This is a cool scene in that book. We got this one right here, which is that whole cyberpunk vibe in a lot of ways. We have this stuff right here, which is really cool. Just the colors on that screams cyberpunk. I've shown this one enough that I think it'll be sick.
Too many times.
I like it a lot. That's why I keep showing it.
Good to know.
This is cool too. I mean, this is kind of just, I think, something that's just standard. And yeah, I mean, that's just some of the art with this. And then I briefly want to touch upon the other thing you put out, which is very different, which is Myths and Tales of
Oh,
Yokai
yeah.
and Cyber Beings in Hinokai or Hinokai or
Hinokai.
okay. So obviously this book is very different than that comic because this book isn't a comic.
It's not a comic. It's more like an encyclopedia of characters in Ronin no Kane. But we also have characters that are not in the book as well. For the world building reasons. We want the world to feel real. And for this book, our idea is to make a encyclopedia book made by someone who is in the Ronin no Kane universe. So basically, he's a guy who travel around, meeting a lot of strange characters, and he write about them and draw about them. So that's pretty much the idea.
It's a pretty interesting book. I mean, it's something. It's kind of like a traveler's guide.
Yeah, right. And it's not easy to make too. Like, it takes a lot of time, even more than comic book. We realize that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's like tarot card stuff in there. There's
Oh, yeah.
stamps in there. There's like secret documents. I mean, it's like there's all these books that used to come out, and they used to be like the Ultimate Batman book, right? And so you have like letters and secret documents and like pull out tabs and stuff, and it's fun because you open it up and you're getting all like the secrets of Batman, right? It's like the Ultimate Batman secret guide written by like Alfred, right? And that's how I view this book, is that it's that. And that's what makes this really interesting, is that it's that. And so I mean, this thing did what, 62,000 on Kickstarter?
Yes, on Kickstarter too. We put it on Kickstarter like a few months ago, and it's doing well.
Didn't it do like 62,000? I think, right? Something like that.
I think so. I can't remember anymore, but I think so.
I mean, it's a lot of money. Again, when you do $60,000, you do 60K on Kickstarter. Like, this isn't a joke anymore. Like, you're doing serious money, and you have a serious project, and it's a pretty intense project if you think about it, because once you cross $10,000 on Kickstarter, in my opinion, you are no longer playing. It's no longer a hobby. I think if you do a comic and you do $8,000, you're in hobby mode. If you do 10,000, you have a side hustle, and you do over 30, you're now starting to have a business.
Thanks.
I mean, that's just my opinion. And I ran a Kickstarter, and it was hell, and I did $700. It was messed up. It was tough.
It's not easy. And
I wanted to cry every day, and then I took up drinking and drinking a lot.
Now you're an alcoholic, right?
Kind of. I've gotten better. I have about 4 shots a week, which isn't bad. All things considered. It's 2 strong Jack and Cokes on my Thursday and Friday. I unwind my week, and then I'm an adult the rest.
Okay.
I would say I'm a pretty good alcoholic. No, I'm not an alcoholic. I want to make that crystal clear. Except depending on what weekend it is. WrestleMania week was complicated. WrestleMania was complicated all by itself too. But anyway, trust me, it was a fun night with my friends.
Okay, that's good, man. I'm glad you had fun.
but I find this book fascinating because, again,
look, with Kickstarter, if anyone are interested in trying to be successful with it, I would recommend focusing on pre-launch campaign, because during the first day of Kickstarter is very important. It determines if your Kickstarter is gonna successful or not, because it's around 30% of your funding. Whatever you get for the first day is gonna be 30% of the rest of the campaign. I think that's the trick with Kickstarter. Not during the campaign, you don't shoot ads during the campaign, but more like during the pre-launch.
Yeah, I again, my campaign, I was trying to do stuff with a podcast, and I shot an idea, and the idea wasn't correct. What everybody hasn't figured out is that pay to play. I have a theory where we're going with all this. It's pay to play, in my opinion, is where we're going. But we're here today, tomorrow, and 5 years from now, I'm starting to see more and more of it. And this was like 3-4 years ago. I did this idea.
Oh, the timing's not right, but the idea is good.
The pay to play, in which the theory of what I was trying to do is saying I was getting about 200 interview requests. So I wanted to do paid positions to prioritize guests who need it. So because when you have 200 people coming in, there was no other way how to sort out who should I interview at the time. And this was the problem, is that so if you pay $5, you get to the top of the list. People weren't exactly thrilled with it, but they didn't understand that I have a problem. I have more people than I can interview. I don't know who to take, and I can't sort through it, but money can solve the problem faster. People didn't like the idea, but they didn't understand the problem. But also people need interviews, and also if you're number 300 on the list, you're not getting on. So if you need an interview for $5, why wouldn't you pay it? If you need the interview, it's $5. Just don't get your Dunkin' Donuts for the day.
That's true.
And nobody liked the idea. So now I have a different way how I deal with it. And there's a lot of people who now say I need an interview. I'm like, well, what's your book? What's your viewers? What's this? And then I also reach out to a bunch of people. So I now will take about 30 people who hit me up, and then the other 120 that I do are really my choice. So if you don't get on that 30 solicitation, or you're not one of those 30 that solicits me, it's complicated when you're getting pucked. And at the time, there was no answer, but nobody was ready for it. But I did fund. But it was brutal. And I'm never doing it again.
I didn't realize that's the kind of problem, podcasts have. So that was interesting.
It was a unique problem at the time.
That's
because
true.
it was COVID and everybody needed interviews. Now pinning interviews is difficult because nobody wants to do them.
Why?
But it ebbs and it flows. But it will come back where everybody needs interviews, where everybody is bummed out and tired, and everybody's having issues. It's so complicated.
I see.
But yeah, like it's so weird. The podcasting world is so weird. But what's going to happen in comics is that give 2-3 years, the economy's going to get better, and then everybody's going to need interviews again. And because a lot of people right now are hesitant to do projects because nobody, especially with tariffs in America, I mean, it's so complicated. But I digress. I could go on for hours on this. Hours, and I don't even have a comic book. I just know it because I like economics and I like understanding things.
I see. Okay.
But I would rather talk about your book because your book is
Sure.
way more fun.
Where did we left off? Miss and Tell, right?
Yeah. I get
What
on
else can I
tangents.
talk about?
Sorry.
What else can I talk about it? I mean, it was a difficult book to make because it was the first type of book that we have done that kind of way. We do comic books, so we know where the ending is. It's like art, line art, color, and put it on like a program, and we put it in bubble and we send it to the printing house and whatever. But for this one, it's a completely different kind of project, and we don't know when it's gonna end during the time that we made it. Like we don't know. We added more stuff, we cut more stuff. We're not sure if it's ready or not because it's something we have never done before. But I think a few weeks ago, we go to a printing house and take a look at the finished product, and it was really good. Like the thickness of the book and turning the pages, and there's a book that the pages you can flip into like 3 pages, and it was really good. Like we're really proud of it.
So let me ask you this. So obviously you did a short film animation with your studio. You've done 4 graphic novels. So I don't consider it a comic. I consider it a graphic novel because it's more than just a single floppy issue. It's like a
We
book.
call it graphic novel. Yeah.
It's all the same. It's all comics. It's just how you present it, right?
Yeah.
I think graphic novel sounds more sophisticated.
It sounds more, what's it called? Pretentious?
Yes, exactly. That's the type of show we're trying to do here, everybody. We try to be pretentious. Oh my God, so many things I could say. But all jokes aside, and then you do this book, and as a studio, what is that like? Because when you do 3 different things, you're not a one-trick pony. I hate to say this, but like I know people who do one-trick comics, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but all they do is horror. But like when you start doing, or all they do is comic books. But when you start doing a more of like travel guide type book or info book, and then you do some graphic novels, comic stuff, and then you've done an animation, it's kind of like saying, cool, we're an actual studio trying to do something now that, and we could do any project. And I don't know how that makes you feel, because I think to some degree it says, hey, we're here and you don't know what we're going to produce next.
I think in the end, it feels, in the end, I'm an artist at heart. I like storytelling and I like writing. So it feels really good to get to do different stuff as an artist, because I know people want the same thing from us. Sometimes, you know, they want the same thing. They want us to keep more nicks and stuff like that. But in the end, as an artist, it was nice to get to do all sort of things, because I feel like artists can relate to me, where you watch a movie or read the books and you feel like, hey, I really want to do this particular thing, or I really want to do this and that, and in the end we don't finish any of them. And with this studio, I get to do all sort of things. Even with Ronin no Kane, if you read from volume 1 to 4, and with the next one 5 as well, the way I tell story is a bit different in each book, because I cannot help myself. But you know, I want to do more. I want to do different stuff. I know it's not the right way to do it. Like, people come for the first book and they want certain things, and then the second book I do something a little different that I want to do, and the third book I do something a little different too.
Do you feel that it also keeps you not stale, and it keeps
I spoil myself a bit with the storytelling stuff, even though people might not ask for it.
Oh, fair enough. And then obviously, I mean, you know, I don't know what else we could talk about with this, but with this other book, is obviously, I think we tackled some of the comic stuff of that book. Obviously, this book's somewhat connected to it, and you know, you gotta read it because it's a bunch of information in that book and a bunch of cool stuff's in there. But I do want to talk a little bit outside of your stuff and talk about the comic industry as a whole, because you probably have a very different view than I do. I'm in America. I obviously understand that the entire economy in the world is messed up right now. And I'm the first person to say that Trump has definitely disrupted things in the economy. Good, bad, and different is up to interpretation for everybody. I think that things were going to be rough regardless of who was in power in the United States, one way or the other. I don't think that he's all at fault, and I don't think it's all on him either. And maybe some people don't think he is at fault at all. Maybe some people think it's a good thing. I don't know, right? I'm not a political show here. But I do realize that a lot of stuff is complicated, and I'm curious how you guys feel being international, being more in Europe and Asia, how you guys feel about the whole comic world, because a lot of stuff has changed. I know a lot of people are going international artists. I think American artists have become really expensive. I mean, I know people who charge $900 for a cover.
Yeah.
I know people who charge $350 for a page. I know people who are charging even like $100 for inks, and I know a lot of artists, and I know a lot of creators are saying, I'm going to go international because they can charge less, and I can't make my book for less than $15,000, or even maybe $8,000 if I don't go international, because American artists are not working for what somebody in Brazil will work for. And I'm curious how you guys feel about that because, and I know it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, I know it's a touchy subject, and
You could plead the fifth
I'll
anytime.
keep it short. So I'm a little nervous when it comes to shipping my book to America right now because there's some, what is it called, 30% stuff, right?
Oh, I have no idea. I ship all over the world in my eBay business, but I don't handle any of it. I ship it to eBay and they handle it for me.
It's not about
Of course,
shipping the
not
book.
a
What's it
dollar.
called? พี่การมันมีอะไรนะที่ขึ้นราคาที่อเมริกาที่แบบพวกเรา30%หรือสักอย่างนี่แหละใช่ไหมที่ทรัมป์เขาเพิ่ม
Taxation
tax, right? Is it
น่าจะ
ภา
tax
ษี
ไหม
Yeah, I think so. There's some tax involved. That
Tariff. I mean,
tariff. Yes, tariff. There's a tariff issue that I'm a little nervous right now because I'm about to ship my book to US.
ต้องรอทางแบบ our government to do something.
We'll see. That's the thing I'm nervous about right now with the tariff. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, but it's a touchy subject. Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, even tabling the art stuff. I mean, I just know a lot of people who are also saying, "Look, I don't know how shipping is going to work. I don't know." I mean, the post office in the United States is raising their shipping, and so like not even international. Just for me to send something, So I send a lot of cards, like trading cards, through my eBay business, and it went from 64 cents or 65 cents to 69 cents. You might say, oh, it's only 5 cents or 4 cents.
No, it's not.
It's not 4 cents, guys. It's 4 cents for one.
Yeah.
When you're sending out 300, it's 300 times 4 or 300 times 5. And the problem is that my shipping for my buyer is free. So that 5 cents comes out of my profit margin because in order for me to be competitive against everybody else, that's the problem. So all of a sudden my profit margin is 75 cents. Now it drops down to 70 cents. And then if it raises up to 72 cents, my profit margin drops down to 68 cents. And if it keeps going, my profit margin goes down to 10 cents. When it gets to the point where it's going to cost me $1 to ship it out, I'm going to make 5 cents a card.
That's true. And I'm not going to raise the price of my book too. That's a problem. Like it's going to be the same and the profit is going to be less. And I want to increase the salary for all of my team. So that's the problem. Like I have to make more money with more customer, but the profit for each book is going to be lower. And I want to give my team like more salary.
I would like to give my team also more money, but my team is me, and but that's the problem is that it becomes the whole dynamic of do I print 10,000 copies to reduce my cost of printing the book, but then I have to take the risk of the market. I understand every one of your problems. I really do. I am legitimately at a wholesale level that I cannot go any more without acquiring a 30% more risk level. So that's where my business is at. It's insane because I'm already at level X, which is good, and there's money to be made, but I can't go beyond that and go get a 40% or 50% reduction without having other problems and having further infrastructure and having to spend like $15,000 in merchandise over the next 2 months, which may or may not sell, which might actually sink the business. It's a nightmare.
It's really hard because I want the reader to get like good books, right? Like the high quality books, like good paper, good cover and everything, and that's gonna cost more, and shipping is gonna cost more. Everything is gonna cost more, and the profit is gonna be less for me. And I don't want the customer to get like low quality books because everything is more expensive. That's not good.
Do you feel though that, and this is the thing, right? I was listening to somebody who owns a lot of real estate, and he said every year I raise up my tenants rent. And he said, I'm not raising them up necessarily $100, but I might raise it up every year by $10, their rent every single month,
Mm.
because things become more expensive. And because eventually it's good to get rid of tenants that can't afford to be there anymore. And maybe if you have a tenant there for 5 years, all of a sudden it gets raised by $50, and you need sometimes to force tenants out, and maybe not $10, but maybe you're raising it by 50 a year every single month. And so I don't think it's unjust. And again, you don't have to answer the question. And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I don't think it's unreasonable to slowly start having to raise up prices. And I'm not saying go from $56 to 75 tomorrow, but maybe you have to go from 56 to 58 because everything is more expensive. And these aren't fun business conversations. They suck.
Mm.
And this is
Yeah,
what
I know.
nobody talks about. And it sucks.
Sucks. Yeah.
It does.
It's not easy to raise the price because we're not. You have no idea, like the customer like living standard or anything, like it's hard. But eventually, maybe you'll have to raise it or lower it or stick to the same price. I have no idea.
My business is a little bit different, right? So on a pre-sale item, my price is X. When the item then is no longer in pre-sale, I raise it back up to where it's at, because now we know the number that is printed, right? So I'll raise up something because I want to get some of the money back. So I'll lose money on the first 25%, or I'll break even on cards. But then I slowly raise up the price on it because now we have only 1,200 of these cards around. So if you are printing limited quantities of a book, you have a limited 100 edition, you can control that number very well. Because each book that sells, or each 10, you could say I'm raising up by $5. Because there's less and less and less you have. But it's hard when you have your book on Kickstarter and volume 1 was 56. It's hard to say volume 2 is going to be 58. And it's the same number of pages.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That's the thing.
It's hard. I know your problem exactly. But I also think that saying, look, the people have been working for me and they need more money. Things are more expensive. And it's not that I want to raise prices. It's that I don't have a choice. And that's going on right now, I think. And I think it's
But that's the thing. You cannot pitch that to the customer. Like, hey, we have to raise it because we want to support our artists. Like, you cannot pitch that to them. Like you can only say that the art is good, the story is good. That's all.
No. I mean, the way I would pitch it is that I wouldn't even pitch it from an artist. I would say, look, printing is more expensive, art is more expensive, the production of the book is more. And I wouldn't even, I mean, you don't have, if you're asked and pressed on it, you answer, but you say, look, this issue is going to cost $60, not 58. And that's the end of the discussion. I mean, that's how I run my eBay business, is that this card is more expensive. I'm sorry. I'm going to sell it to you for $45, not 40. I understand last year it was 40, but it's just, things have changed.
Yeah, sure.
And if you find it cheaper, great. I'm fine with that, but I know my costs. I can't sell it to you for this. Things have changed. I'm sorry.
That's true. It was not easy, but eventually I'll have to do it.
You should do it right now. That's what you should do.
This year. Actually, I'm gonna launch another Kickstarter this year. It's gonna be the 5th book.
If you
we're like 70% done, so maybe the price will go up.
Charge 56, charge 57. Because if you do it slowly in dollar increments for every single Kickstarter, it's not going to be noticed.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Because what you're doing is that you're slowly adjusting, right?
Oh,
have you ever cooked a lobster? Just curiosity.
Can you say that again?
Have you ever cooked a lobster before?
Oh no, not really. No.
Oh. This is good. This is good. Everybody's gonna kill me on this. This is so interesting, right? So the way you cook a lobster is that you slowly turn up the temperature because you cook it live, right?
Uh-huh.
So you slowly turn up the temperature and you boil the lobster alive.
Mhm.
Now, I think it's messed up on a lot of levels, but we're not talking about the ethics of
Okay, yeah, man. That's not tough.
lobsters. Because if you turn up if you go up to 200 degrees, the lobster's going to get out of your pan real quick.
Oh, okay.
It's going to figure out how to leave. And it's going to make a beeline for where it can escape.
Uh-huh.
But if you turn it up to 90 degrees, 95, 100, all of a sudden the lobster says, it's 200 degrees, I'm dying here. What the fuck? And then and then it's cooked, right?
It's too late. Yeah.
That's
That's a
the
nice
risk.
way to. That's a nice way to. What's it called? Talk about customer, like a cooked lobster.
No. The point though is that
No,
they
no.
can
I
adjust,
know.
right?
I
They can
know, I'm
adjust
kidding.
for the price hike because they're not adjusting. They're not going from 56 to 65 in one fell swoop. You're
That's
getting
true.
them to a point where they can adjust at $1 at a time, and so they don't feel. So all of a sudden they can say, okay, I understand that this issue is 57. I understand this issue is 58. I understand this issue is 59. But they're not getting the full brunt out of nowhere.
Mhm.
They're getting
That's true.
accustomed to the fact that things are more expensive slowly over a period of time. Because this is what I do with customers. When things are more expensive, prices reflect. So if a card set was $40 and now it's 50 and I'm selling it, the adjustment has to occur
Mhm.
in that regard. And then that's just how I do it. And so I adjust prices slowly because I don't
I
have a
agree.
choice.
That's a good strategy though, because eventually there's gonna be a time where it has to jump. But if you slowly increase it, you have prepared yourself for the jump, so you don't have to jump the price.
It's not as brutal. It's not as
It's not
brutal,
brutal.
and I think everybody's campaign should do that. Even
I agree.
going up by $1, I think every campaign should do it.
I never thought. I think that's a good idea.
Excuse me Michael เดี๋ยวต้องไปแล้ว I have to go now
Okay.
sorry
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. We'll wrap up anyway. I'm gonna let you guys promote yourself.
Okay, thank you Andy and thank you Michael. Okay,
Thank you so much, Pikai.
have a nice day guys.
Have a good one.
Okay, have a nice day too. Okay, พี่กายเจอกันนะ Okay.
So that's what I think, but nobody listens to me because I don't have a book. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself, unless you have anything else you want to say on the topic.
Okay, sure. So basically, we're doing Ronin wo Kane. It's a comic book that we've been working on for 4 years, and we love cyberpunk. We love Japanese folklore. We're a huge fan of them, and we're about to launch the next book at the end of the year. And if you are interested in our book, you can also check out our shop and our social media. Check out if you like the kind of art style that we're going for and the story that we're telling. So that's pretty much it.
And then obviously I'm just going to say this. I have the link to their store in the description. So if you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube. I don't have the link on Twitch because Twitch doesn't allow me to do links here. But obviously, if you want to find it, obviously you can just check out what they're doing. If you type in Ronin of Okane, I'm sure it will pop up. And it's not that hard to find. If you type it in on Kickstarter, I'm sure you will also get directed to it. It's a pretty unique name, guys. You type it in. Also, they have an Instagram as well, which is Cyber Sheep Studios. So you can follow them there. Pretty cool. Link to the stores there also. But again, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, seeing this, the link is in the description. So you can check that out and check out what they do. And then as far as I'm concerned with everything that I do, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter. I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram. I am Pop Anime Comics on Facebook. I am Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. I do have a TikTok, which may or may not still be active in a few months, depending on what exactly is going on. But we're not going to get into that. But that is Pop Anime Comics. Put a lot of stuff out there. I do have another Instagram called Big Boy Card Collecting, where I buy and sell a lot of cards and post and share information about card collecting. And I do a YouTube show breaking stuff open. today. For those who are interested, I just cracked this open live, so definitely check that out. It's a pretty cool card. I'm not going to go too much into it. Super limited. It's limited 99. Pretty cool. I have a very cool post coming out tomorrow. I'm not going to tell anybody what it is. It is a 101 that I pulled. It's going to be a fun post to make. Very cool card. So I got that coming. And then my eBay store, guys. My eBay store is pretty cool right here. Look for Comics and Collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. I pop out and make Comics Collectibles, and I sell a lot of cool stuff like this. I sell this. I sell this. I sell stuff like this in my store. I sell stuff like this in my store. I sell cards like this in my store. I sell stuff like this in my store. You name it, I sell it. I sell a lot of cards, a lot of comics, a lot of Pop Funkos. And the next 2 weeks, I'm really going to be adding in probably about 200 to 300 listings. So definitely be on the lookout for that stuff, because a lot of cool stuff is coming into my store next 2 weeks. Pretty cool stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I got going on. And I'll give you the final word.
Me? Final words. So what do you people usually say for the final words?
Oh, it's up to you. It's up to you. If our final word is up to you.
Goodbye, guys.
Well, there we have it, everybody. And that, everybody, I believe, is a wrap.